Let me start this off by saying I'm not a jealous guy. I'm not the type who scrolls through your texts when you're in the shower or gives death stares to the waiter if he smiles too long. That kind of behavior is for insecure 20-somethings who still think possessiveness is romantic. I'm Reed, 38, electrical engineer, habitual overthinker, and former believer in monogamy. My wife, my then-wife, Raya, was 35, spontaneous, charming, gorgeous, and apparently deeply allergic to commitment. But she didn't tell me that at first. No, that would have been too honest. Instead, she waited 10 years and then dropped her little truth bomb like she was ordering another round of wine. It happened at a backyard barbecue. Our backyard, our friends, our co-workers, our string lights. You know the setup: cheap plastic cups, folding chairs, one guy who takes the grill way too seriously. We were deep in the middle-aged suburban glow phase of life. Mortgages, car payments, meal prep containers. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. And then Raya, my sweet, clever, NPR-loving wife, laughed a little too loudly at someone's joke, raised her wine glass, and declared to the group, "I think open relationships make sense, honestly. A little freedom, a little fun. Maybe monogamy isn't for everyone, right?" Oh yeah, she really said that, with a goddamn smirk. The group chuckled. You know the kind of laugh that says, "Ha ha ha, what a funny concept. Let's pretend we didn't hear that." But I looked at her, and she looked right back at me. That's when I knew. That wasn't a joke. That wasn't wine talking. That was intentional. I smiled. I actually smiled. Because sometimes the only thing left between rage and confusion is customer service level politeness. Well, I said, raising my beer, I always thought commitment was kind of the point. Raya didn't miss a beat. Sure, if you're into ownership. Ownership. Like I was some sort of middle management pimp trying to fence off a lease on her personality. The mood shifted like someone had farted during grace. Everyone looked anywhere but at us. The grill, the sky, their phones. The silence was so thick you could hear the condensation dripping off the cooler. I leaned in, quiet enough for just her to hear. So is this a joke or a confession? She took a sip and said, cool as ice. It's just a thought. Of course it was. It's always just a thought, right up until it's someone else's sheets. We didn't stay long after that. The mood died faster than our intimacy lately. And that's saying something. We didn't stick around much longer. The mood died faster than our intimacy lately. And that's saying something. The last of the guests shuffled out with polite excuses and empty smiles, the kind people use when they want to escape without picking sides. Raya disappeared into the kitchen like nothing happened. I stayed behind in the yard, watching the string lights sway in the breeze, wishing one of them would fall and take me out on impact. I cleaned up in silence, folded chairs, empty bottles, a paper plate with one sad rib no one touched. She didn't come back out. She didn't say goodnight, just vanished into the house like a magician with zero applause. Meanwhile, I stood there gripping a half-full trash bag like it was a life preserver, trying to figure out how the hell my marriage had turned into an unsolicited TED Talk on ethical non-monogamy. The next morning felt like waking up next to a stranger who still used your toothpaste. Raya was already up, pretending to be productive in the kitchen. I say pretending because no one actually organizes the spice rack at 7:30 a.m. unless they're either nesting or avoiding a conversation. I walked in, grabbed the coffee pot, and poured exactly enough to make it clear I wasn't making her one. "So," I said, voice neutral, "that thing you said last night." She didn't look at me, just twisted a paprika jar like it held the secrets of the universe. "What about it? Are you seriously suggesting we open our marriage, or was that some performative wine wisdom?" She shrugged. "It was just a thought." Ah, there it was, that magical phrase, the universal get-out-of-jail-free card for people who want to drop a grenade and walk away before it explodes. "Cool," I said. "Just wanted to check before I start calling people from high school." She didn't laugh. Instead, she pulled the "you're being dramatic" card. Which, by the way, is a fantastic way to make a man feel crazy for reacting normally to being emotionally blindsided in his own backyard. "I'm just exploring ideas," she said. "You're taking this too seriously." "Raya," I said, setting my mug down, "there's a difference between thinking out loud and beta testing infidelity." She rolled her eyes. I walked away. Because arguing with someone who's already rewritten the narrative in their head is like yelling at a podcast. That evening she was out grabbing drinks with co-workers. And by co-workers, I mean a guy named Sean, whose name I only knew because she once accidentally airdropped a screenshot of their messages to the TV while I was watching a football game. Yeah, that happened. But hey, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, because apparently I enjoy pain. Around 11 p.m., she came home humming. Not drunk humming, flirty humming. That specific brand of post-date melody women do when they've been validated by someone who doesn't know they used to cry over IKEA instructions. She dropped her purse and flopped on the couch next to me like nothing was wrong. "You good?" I asked. "Yep," she chirped. "Cool." I didn't say anything else. Just let the silence settle. That's the thing about silence. It doesn't scream. It strangles. Quietly. A few nights later, we were sitting across from each other at the dinner table eating reheated stir-fry like two co-workers who got stuck at the same layover. "I've been thinking," she said suddenly, between bites. "I don't think monogamy is natural." I chewed, swallowed. "You're right," I said. "Neither is electricity, but it still powers this house." She stared at me, probably expecting me to ask her what she meant. I didn't, because deep down, I already knew. It was a few days later when I caught her. No drama, no snooping, just dumb luck and terrible lock screen etiquette. She'd left her phone face up on the counter while she was in the shower. I wasn't even trying to check it. I was reaching for the damn charger. The screen lit up. "Last night was incredible. Same time tomorrow?" I froze. Not in pain, in absolute unfiltered clarity. All that just a thought crap? Turns out her thoughts had a name, a schedule, and apparently great stamina. She came out of the bathroom in a towel, humming again. "Your phone went off," I said casually. She glanced at it, paused, blinked. "Oh, that's nothing." "Nothing?" I asked, tilting my head. "You explore ideas with emojis now?" Her face tightened. He's just a friend. We're talking." "Right," I nodded. "Talking? With your body?" No yelling, no scene. Just one clean strike right between her delusion and my detachment. She didn't reply. I didn't wait. I walked to the bedroom, opened my laptop, and changed every password I had. Banking, email, Netflix. Even the Spotify family plan. And as a cherry on top, I renamed our Wi-Fi to Just a Thoughts 123, because if I'm going down in flames, I'm bringing sarcasm with me. After that night, something shifted. Not in her, in me. She still floated around the house like nothing happened. Still scrolled her phone on the couch with her legs draped over the side like she was starring in some indie drama called Woman Who Deserves More. But me? I stopped playing my role in the fantasy. No more, "How was your day?" check-ins. No more shared dinners, unless you count the sound of me microwaving my meals at 6:43 p.m. sharp while she recharged in the guest room. That's right, guest room. The same room we used to offer to visiting friends and her vegan cousin from Portland. Now it was her little freedom cave. I didn't argue. I let her move in like a tenant in her own marriage. The next morning, I made just 1 cup of coffee. Drank it in silence. Didn't ask where she was going. She noticed. Oh, she noticed. She stood in the hallway with her bag, looking confused. "Aren't you working from home today?" "I am." "Then, why are you up so early?" "I felt like having a productive morning," I said, sipping. She waited. I didn't elaborate. She left with a face like someone who walked into a room and forgot why. That day, I signed up at a gym 5 minutes from the house. Nothing fancy. No eucalyptus towels or smoothie bars. Just iron, sweat, and fluorescent lights that made everyone look slightly haunted. Perfect. That first workout nearly killed me. My body hadn't seen a treadmill since Obama was in office. But it didn't matter. Because with every drop of sweat, every screaming muscle fiber, I felt something I hadn't in months. Ownership. Not over her, over myself. I started going every day. 6:30 a.m., same hoodie. No excuses. While Raya floated through whatever dopamine-fueled enlightenment she thought she was chasing, I was busy dragging myself back from whatever grave she'd started digging for us. By the end of the second week, the house looked different. Not outwardly, but in the way it felt. Her heels were no longer scattered by the door. Her perfume no longer lingered in the bathroom. Her drama no longer echoed in the kitchen. I moved her books off the nightstand and replaced them with a small digital clock and a plant I hadn't killed in 3 weeks. Progress. I started sleeping better, started thinking clearer. Even my Spotify algorithm got the memo. Less moody acoustic sadness, more hard-hitting drum lines with titles like "No More Mr. Nice Guy." Then came the shift. She walked in one evening, heels clicking, hair perfect, smile a little too practiced, and paused in the entryway. The house was clean, the dishes were done, laundry folded, and I was on the couch reading, completely unbothered by her dramatic "I'm home" energy. She blinked. "You cleaned?" "I live here," I said, not looking up. "You didn't used to do the laundry." "I didn't used to live with a roommate either." Silence. She stood there for a moment, like she was deciding whether to play nice or throw a tantrum. She picked confusion. "You've been quiet lately." I finally met her gaze. "And you've been loud." She flinched. Not much, but enough. And that was when I knew. She was starting to feel it. Not guilt, not regret. Displacement. She'd made this mess thinking I'd orbit around her while she figured out what freedom meant. But now, I had broken orbit, and she wasn't the sun anymore. "I didn't plan to meet anyone. Let's get that straight. I wasn't out there on Tinder looking for emotional CPR. I didn't post thirst traps or start buying unnecessary protein powder. I just went to the gym. Every day. Because it was the only place that didn't talk back. And that's where it happened. Week 3, back day. I was in the zone, hoodie soaked, earbuds in, doing my best impression of someone who knew what they were doing. I turned too fast between sets, towel slung over my shoulder, and boom. Collision. Sharp thud. Someone hit the floor. "Whoa. Damn, sorry." I dropped to a crouch. "You okay?" She blinked up at me, breath short, messy ponytail, leggings scuffed at the knee, and a half laugh that said this wasn't how her day was supposed to go. "I think I just met a linebacker," she muttered. I laughed. Real laughter. The first in weeks. "That was my bad. Can you stand?" "Name's June." She smirked through the pain. "Apparently I meet new people by falling into them." I helped her up, slow and careful. The way she leaned into me wasn't desperate, it was practical, and weirdly familiar, like we'd done this before in another life where things weren't so damn complicated. We ended up in the ER. No drama, no flirting, just 2 adults surviving a mishap in the land of sweat and metal. I drove her home, 10 minutes from my place. As I helped her up the steps, she turned and asked, "Would it be totally weird if I asked for a ride to physical therapy next week?" I should have said no. I didn't. "Sure," I said. "I can do that." 1 week turned into 2. We didn't talk about past relationships, didn't trauma dump, just existed. She told me about her job at a nonprofit and her obsession with old jazz records. I told her about the gym, the house, the silence. June never asked for more, never pushed. She just sat in the car with me after PT sessions, sipping coffee and listening. And somehow, that felt louder than anything Raya had said in months. One night, after I dropped June off, I walked into the house and felt it immediately. Tension. Not the angry kind, the unnerved kind. Raya was sitting at the dining table. Half a glass of wine, Untouched dinner, phone, face down. Waiting. She didn't look up. "You've been out a lot," she said, voice flat. "Yeah." "With who?" I shut the fridge, turned slowly. "Does it matter?" Her eyes finally met mine, and for the first time in a long time, they weren't smug. They were raw. "Are you seeing someone?" I didn't smile, didn't gloat, just let the moment breathe. "Maybe." That single word cracked her, visibly. She stood fast, bumped the wine glass, red drops staining the white napkin like a crime scene. "Wow, just like that?" I tilted my head. "You're surprised? I thought we were figuring things out. I meant me, not this." "Ah, there it is." "Right," I said, calm as ever. "You were figuring out how to have everything. I was figuring out how to survive it." She stepped closer, voice rising. "You said you weren't looking." "I wasn't, but sometimes things find you." And just like that, silence. But not mine this time. Heron. She had nothing. No speech, no blame, no script. I picked up my dinner plate and sat at the counter like it was just another Wednesday. Because to me, it was. She lingered in the hallway for a long time that night. Opened drawers, paced, closed cabinets that didn't need closing, a ghost searching for a body. She paused at the front door around midnight. I heard her hand on the knob, but she didn't leave, because for the first time, I wasn't waiting for her to come back. A few days passed. June and I kept things simple. No labels, no rushing, just conversations that didn't feel like negotiations, and silence that didn't feel like punishment. She had a way of making stillness feel safe, which, after months of walking on emotional eggshells, felt like discovering oxygen. One quiet afternoon, we met up for coffee. Nothing fancy, just a little corner cafe near her building. Exposed brick, crooked tables, baristas with too many piercings. The usual. We grabbed a table by the window. She told me about a woman from work who accidentally donated 12 pounds of expired couscous to a food drive. I laughed, really laughed. And that's when the door opened. I didn't need to look. I felt it. Raya. Because of course. She hadn't seen me at first. She looked tired. No makeup, hair in a bun, hoodie slightly too big. The "I'm doing fine, thanks" uniform of someone who's not. She ordered, phone in hand, eyes half-focused, until she turned. And saw me. And her. She froze. June noticed my change in posture. "You okay?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah, just a ghost." Raya didn't walk out. Of course she didn't. She stormed over, like the place owed her something. "Seriously?" she snapped, voice sharp enough to cut through the cafe's indie playlist. "This is how you humiliate me? With her?" June blinked, stayed calm. Queen behavior. I didn't rise, didn't flinch. "Hello, Raya," I said, sipping my coffee. "You couldn't even pretend to be discreet?" "Discreet?" I raised an eyebrow. "You dropped the open marriage speech over coleslaw and red Solo cups." People were watching now. Forks paused midair. A barista turned the music down. Raya looked like she wanted to explode. June stood quietly behind me, hand resting gently on the back of my chair. "Steady. You're really doing this? You're just moving on?" I looked at her, calm as the damn ocean. "Raya, you wanted freedom. Not like this." "What did you expect? That I'd stay frozen while you explored yourself over cocktails and coworker abs?" She opened her mouth. "You said you didn't want control," I continued, voice still low. "So I let go. Completely. Congratulations." "You're cruel," she hissed. "This is cruel." I leaned back. You know what was cruel? Rewriting the rules mid-game and handing me the broken pieces with a smile. She blinked. That one landed. "You don't even care anymore, do you?" I finished my coffee, looked her dead in the eye. "Raya," I said, clear and final, "isn't this exactly the kind of relationship you wanted?" Silence. Her face crumbled just enough to reveal the truth. She never wanted freedom. She wanted power without consequence. And now she had neither. June touched my shoulder lightly. "Let's go," she said gently. I nodded. We walked past Raya without another word. As we stepped out into the crisp air, June asked again, "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Really okay." And for the first time in a long, long time, I meant it. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was upset, because my body was still catching up to a reality where I didn't owe her anything anymore. No explanations, no emotional CPR. Just the quiet, steady rhythm of letting go. At 6 a.m., I made coffee. 1 cup, like always. Sat at the kitchen table and pulled out the envelope I'd been keeping in the drawer under the old takeout menus and expired coupons. Divorce papers, signed, notarized, clean. Like cutting off a dead branch before it infects the tree. I laid them on the table, flat, open, waiting. Raya came out of the guest room just after 7, wearing the same sweatshirt she used to steal from me on lazy Sundays. Funny how fabric can hold memories longer than people. She stopped mid-step when she saw the papers. What is that?" I didn't look up. "You already know." She walked slowly to the table like it might bite her. Opened the envelope, read the header. Her fingers trembled. "You already signed them?" "A week ago." "You didn't even talk to me about this." I finally looked at her. "You talked enough for both of us." She stared at me, jaw tight, tears threatening but not quite forming. "I never actually cheated, you know. You know that, right?" I nodded. "Doesn't matter." "What do you mean it doesn't matter?" "I mean the damage wasn't about what you did," I said, voice steady. "It was about what you stopped doing. You stopped choosing me." She sank into the chair like her knees gave out. "I thought maybe we could fix it. Start over." I gave her a look she used to know well. The look I gave contractors who missed deadlines. The look I gave airport kiosks when they lost my luggage. The calm, unmoved finality. "There's no over left to start." "You really don't care anymore?" "I care," I said, "just not enough to stay." Her face crumpled. Not dramatically, just defeated. And still, I didn't reach for her, because that wasn't my role anymore. "You were supposed to be the one who fought," she whispered. "You always did." I stood. This time, I fought for me. Then I turned and walked out of the room, left her there with her sweatshirt and her freedom, and the echo of what used to be us. I packed a bag, no rush, no storm, just precision. When the sun came up over Phoenix, I was already gone. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. Quick, clean, no fault. Arizona may be dry, but let me tell you, nothing dries out a marriage quite like a lawyer named Barry and a stack of paperwork taller than your last Christmas tree. Raya didn't contest anything, didn't cry in court, didn't ask for more time or clarity or closure. She just signed. With that same expression she used when choosing wine at Trader Joe's. Bored, distant, slightly annoyed at the options. Afterward, she texted me, "Guess that's that." I didn't reply, because, yeah, that's exactly what that was. The next day I picked up the rest of my things, took what was mine, clothes, a few tools, my guitar, and the air fryer she never learned to use but always claimed credit for buying. Left behind the rest. The couch we picked together. The wedding album she hadn't touched since hashtags were invented. The memory of who I used to be. My new apartment wasn't fancy. 1 bedroom, thin walls, carpet that looked like it survived at least 1 indoor hurricane. But it was mine. My space, my rules, my silence. And silence, I learned, can be holy. No more waiting up for someone who stopped calling. No more emotional roulette every time the front door opened. No more pretending I didn't notice the slow, quiet corrosion of us. As for June, we kept it simple. Still no labels, still no plans. Just 2 people learning how to exist again without apology. She didn't try to fix me. Didn't pry. Didn't ask what went wrong with Raya. She just existed in a way that made space feel safe. And honestly, That was enough. We'd meet for walks, share terrible takeout, laugh at our own brokenness like it was some sort of dark sitcom with no season finale in sight. And slowly, very slowly, life started to feel like something I didn't need to brace for. I lifted heavier at the gym, started cooking real meals, read books that weren't just left behind by my ex-wife's abandoned book club. Hell, I even started sleeping through the night again. No dreams, no nightmares, just the quiet hum of peace. People ask if I regret it, if I wish I'd tried harder, if I miss her. Here's what I say: I don't miss her. I miss who I thought she was. There's a difference. She wanted freedom, and she got it. But me? I wanted peace. And now I have it. Not fireworks, not revenge, just stillness. And sometimes, that's the loudest kind of victory there is.